Hey guys, so Lord here, back again with another review, and today we're going to be taking a look at the Mattel Masterverse, Masters of the Universe Revelation Spykor. That's right, this is one of my very first Spykor figures. I do have the original one in storage, but I do not have the classics, and I don't have any other ones they've made since then. This is technically my first, second Spykor. If that makes any sense at all, but this is, of course, how Spykor appears in Masters of the Universe Revelation, Episode 1, for about a minute. Because it's really just Skeletor in disguise. I know it was a big, fat cock tease, but at the end of the day, looks like we're getting him in Part 2, right? Right? I hope so. But at any rate, he does come with some accessories that aren't already on his person. He comes with a fist hand and a grip hand for the opposite sides, so he's got a pair of each. He doesn't have the bitch slap hand, but he does come with this giant Wolverine claw glaive trident pitchfork stabby weapon of death here, which, based off of how it's designed, it looks like the hand slips into this and holds onto some kind of handle, and these will extend out of it. None of that actually happens with this toy, but, you know, it's a cool thought, I guess. It's the thought that counts. Not all the time. But it does have the little wrist peg there. It's the same size as these wrist pegs, so you can easily pop the hand off here. When I say that, it's probably going to be a pain in the butt. Nope. You pop the fist off, and you can take this piece and you can plug it in just like the other hands. There you go. Which, honestly, is how I'm going to display him. So, that's cool. I dig that a lot. I think it looks awesome. And then he also comes with his spiked club here, which I'm not taking out of his hand because it was a pain in the butt to get in there. Much like Beastman's whip. So, well, I do appreciate that they got a nice tight grip on these weapons. They are very, very tight in the hands, and kind of tricky to get on there. But it does have the little guard, too, like the vintage toys. So, again, Revelation is meant to be kind of a show based off the vintage toys and whatnot. Not exactly the Filmation show. They legally can't do that. But it's got the little knuckle guard there, and then I gotta say, this is a very thug life version of Spykor's weapon. It's like a spiked baseball bat, which he can even balance on his shoulder, if you noticed that at the beginning of the video. Looking at Spykor, he's not spiked the spike out, but he does have enough, I think. Enough for a more streamlined redesign of the character. He's got plenty on his head. He looks like, oh, crap. It's not Sid Vicious, is it? Is it Sid Vicious who had the crazy spike hair going on? Maybe it was. But he looks like one of those like 70s, 80s punk rock dudes with all the spikes sticking off his head. And then he's got the spikes on his chest and on his back. His armor does come off. I'm not going to do that just for time's sake, but you can take it off. But as far as articulation goes, it's the same base body as He-Man and Faker and Skeletor, albeit with the same kind of jank hips as He-Man and Skeletor, not the nice butter smooth ones that Faker had. So I guess Faker came out after these guys, but these guys showed up here way after Faker did, as you all know if you watched my Beastman review last week. But Spykor, his head will look around, go up and down a bit, tilt. Shoulders go out to the side pretty good, back down, forward and back, bicep swivel, double joint at the elbow, which can give you plenty of range. Like so. And he does not appear to have as deep a cuts as the He-Man I have, at least. He's got like a really kind of deep trench in the cuts there, but this guy doesn't seem to have that problem. Or the torso issue, because you can't do anything with the torso joint, really. You can do it inside the armor, but it serves literally no purpose. You're just shifting the torso around in the armor, which I guess if you want to have a more tough-looking Spykor, you can do that. Shift the head back all the way, kind of fills out the gap there, makes his head look a little bit closer to the body. That's a thought, I guess. That kind of looks cool. So, I'm a tough guy, Spykor. I'm gonna kick your ass. It's got a waist swivel, which I would advise grabbing down here to make that work so you don't twist that peg in the torso. And as far as his hips go, they do kick out, they kick down, they kick forward, back. You get a little bit of wiggle in there. He does have a thigh cut, which is kind of tight, but it works. Double joint at the knee. Oh, is the other one looser? Yeah, it is. But you get a double joint at the knee that works fine. It's got a boot swivel. Then he's got a hinge in the foot with a rocker and the peg holes at the bottom of his feet. Or a stand you don't get. Stand sold separately. I will say I had to set this guy on the heat up for a little bit to get these hips to free up, but after I did that, they work fine. I mean, I'm not having too many issues with them now. I had to do it a couple of times, but nothing too bad. Nothing too bad. Not nearly as bad as the He-Man. I had to do it a few times on him because he kept stiffening back up. Even with some lubricant. So they still got it. They still got to work on the hips. We need it on all the figures, not just Faker. So with that being said, Spykor in a nutshell. I really dig this guy. I think he's cool. But with that being said, again, let's take a look at some comparisons. First up, here is Spykor next to the most recent figures I've taken a look at from this Masterverse line. We have the Deluxe Faker, who shares a lot of the same parts, but I'm just going to show you right now. His legs worked flawlessly on a package. As far as forward and back goes, the in and out still a little iffy, but this guy's legs are a lot less cumbersome to deal with than Spykor's here, or even the first two figures in this line that had the same legs. And we also got Beastman. This is the kind of fast-forward wasteland look for Beastman. I have to say I did have to do a little bit of surgery on him. I had to pop his left leg out of the socket a little bit where the thigh cut is, because it was a bit gummy there. I had to widen that hole very, very carefully with some heat and cooling techniques to kind of loosen it up a bit, because it was kind of tugging on that peg that was going into it, which you guys know me, I'm not a fan of that. So I just tweaked it a little bit, and he seems to be okay now. And yes, his whip is kind of wrapped around his wrist there, so it doesn't get all tangled up on other figures. You know, for my convenience. And he actually does look a little taller next to Spykor as opposed to Faker. I don't know if Spykor and Faker have different legs or something, but they look like the same parts. But Beastman looks taller than Spykor, and Faker also looks taller than Spykor, which, if you remember the Beastman review, Faker and Beastman looked a lot closer in height than these two do. Up next, here he is, next to a couple more Masterverse figures. We have Evelyn. This is the, again, Wasteland / Fast Forward look for Evelyn. And then we also have Skeletor, who, of course, used the shaping staff to make himself appear as Spykor, and Evelyn as Clawful, while the quote-unquote Faker He-Man rode a makeshift Stridor, which was also cloaked with the shaping staff to look like, well, actually, no, it was Night Stalker, who was cloaked to look like Stridor. Get it right. So, yeah, the shaping staff's a pretty big deal in that first episode, but hopefully, again, we'll get more of actual Spykor and Clawful in part 2. And last but certainly not least, we have our two regulars, the Mythic Legion's Brother Mandibulus and the 11th Spawn. And even though Spawn was dwarfed by the armored Batman I took a look at yesterday, he stands taller than Spykor today. So he's making up for it, right? But with that being said, time to wrap things up. Some final thoughts. Overall, well, I do really like this figure and am enjoying this Masterverse line for the most part. I still think we have some things to work on, like the hips. I think they could tweak those just a little bit more, and this line would be really, really solid. And actually, saying that, the Beastman hips are the best in this line so far. I think he's probably my favorite figure to mess around with in this line. It's just a really fun thing to pose. I really enjoy the figure. But with that being said, I don't think any of these guys are going to make my top 10 figures of the year list for the sheer fact that, I don't know, they're not blowing me away, but they're not disappointing me either. They're just kind of average, pretty solid, but I think they could be better. Now, if I got my Scare Glow before the end of the year, that's a different story, because I am very biased towards that character. As you all know, watch the Spykor Origins review for more on that. But at any rate, if you are collecting this Masterverse line like myself, then you definitely want to pick this guy up. It's not every day we get a Spykor figure, right? Not one that looks this cool anyways. So with that being said, I hope you guys enjoyed this review. Don't forget to comment, like, and subscribe. And if you are so inclined, please hit that notification bell so you know whenever I upload more reviews like this one, because we got to show that algorithm who's boss, right? And if you haven't already, hit me up on Instagram at Overlord Productions. But as always, keep the comments civil, because the world sucks enough as it is. And until next time, I'll catch you guys later.